On behalf of the UK National Agency, welcome to this special session for newcomers to the Erasmus Plus programme. The image on this slide is of some of our previous beneficiaries who entered the Erasmus Plus photo competition. As well as having a great time, their experience abroad was fully supported. The aim of this short video is to make Erasmus Plus easy to understand. After watching the video, we hope that you'll understand the basics of the programme, what it has to offer, and hopefully be thinking about applying for funding during the 2020 call for applications. This video is designed to give you an overview of the programme and suggest ways in which you and your organisation can become involved. We will look at the opportunities open to organisations involved in adult education, higher education, schools, vocational education and training and youth programmes. If you have any questions, you can send us an email or give us a call. All of our contact details will be displayed at the end of this presentation. Don't forget to also take a look at our website for more in-depth information. So, what is Erasmus Plus? Erasmus Plus is the EU's funding programme for education, training, youth and sport. It runs from 2014 to 2020. This means that the 2020 call will be the final call of the current programme. Erasmus Plus brings these different fields together with the aim of modernising education, training and youth work across Europe. It is open to education, training, youth and sports organisations across all sectors of lifelong learning, including schools and further and higher education, adult education and the youth sector. The opportunities offered by the programme to improve knowledge and skills and to modernise and internationalise our education systems will better prepare everyone for an increasingly competitive and interdependent world. The opportunities available centre around providing learners, staff and volunteers with the chance to work, study, volunteer and train abroad, supporting partnerships and collaborative working across Europe and beyond, and improving youth policy and provision. This diagram shows the overall budget for the programme across Europe, which is €14.774 billion over the programme's lifetime. This money is earmarked for the development of knowledge and skills. The budget is split between different target groups: education and training, youth, G Monnet projects and sport, with a tranche of funding for administration and high-level policy projects. The education and training budget is further split down between different fields, each of which has a protective level of funding, with some left unallocated to retain flexibility. Over €1 billion of this budget is allocated to the UK. The funding is expected to help 250,000 people undertake activities abroad. Although there is a large amount of funding available for the UK, it is a competitive application process and not every application will be funded. Anyone making an application needs to ensure their project meets the quality criteria. This will improve their chances of receiving funding. Between 2014 and 2018, the UK National Agency has funded 4,846 projects with a total of €679.7 million. The number of participants in the programme so far have been 167,000. This means that the average value received for each participant is in the region of €4,070. Obviously, individual projects will vary in scale and scope and will receive different levels of funding. Figures for 2019 will be available on our website shortly. There are a range of benefits to getting involved in Erasmus Plus, for both the individuals taking part and for organisations like yours who may be sending participants. The aim of the programme is to build a critical mass of benefits that will help to improve systems and policies across Europe. Organisations will benefit from more engaged staff who have benefited from career developing training opportunities, better access to good practice models that have been developed and used successfully elsewhere in Europe, and new ways of engaging and encouraging learners. For individuals, the opportunities are even more important. As well as improving their personal and professional development, they will also broaden their cultural outlook, boost their confidence, and develop their language skills. So how does Erasmus Plus work? The programme is managed at European level by the European Commission. They set the rules for the programme, including the types of projects that will attract funding, the funding amounts, and any other eligibility rules. They also decide on deadlines and manage the electronic application system. The Education and Cultural Executive Agency of the European Commission in Brussels directly manage all activities relating to sport, Jean Monnet activities, and larger scale projects across all the sectors. These are known as centralised activities. In the UK, the Department for Education is responsible for overseeing the operation of the programme for the majority of applicants. These are called decentralised activities. The Department for Education appoints the UK National Agency to make the delivery of the programme of decentralised activities. At the UK National Agency, our duties include promotion, receiving and assessing applications, selecting projects, contracting with and managing projects throughout their lifetime, disseminating the outcomes of the programme. The vast majority of the programmes, particularly for newcomers, will be decentralised activities. For most beneficiaries, all contacts will be with the team at the UK National Agency. Let's take a look at who we are. The UK National Agency for Erasmus Plus is a partnership between the British Council and Ecoris UK. Our role is to ensure the UK's education, training, youth and sports sectors have the opportunity to take part in Erasmus Plus, forge partnerships, share knowledge and foster innovation between staff and organisations, and to enrich the lives of individuals who study, train, volunteer or gain work experience abroad. The two organisations work together in partnership to deliver the programme in the UK and are responsible for the following activities. The British Council concentrates on higher education, schools and youth key action 2 and 3. Ecoris UK deals with the rest of the programme, namely vocational education and training, also known as VET, adult education, youth key action 1. This split ensures that your programme is handled by a dedicated programme team with a huge range of knowledge, ensuring that your programme is compliant with the standards. The programme is structured around 5 different actions. You may hear these called the key actions. Key action 1 is related to the mobility of individuals. Key action 2 is intended to facilitate cooperation through innovation and the exchange of good practices. Key action 3 provides support for policy reform. Now we come to the centralised actions. These are managed directly by the European Commission and you should visit their websites for more information. The 4th action is named in honour of the French political economist Jean Monnet. It is dedicated to activities for higher education institutes. You can find their website at eac.eu/Erasmus-plus/Jean-Monnet_en. The final action is for sports-related projects. More details can be found at ec.europa.eu/sport. So in the UK, we manage decentralised activities. That is Key Action 1 for mobility of learners and staff, Key Action 2, which is for strategic partnerships, and Key Action 3, which is structured dialogue for youth. We'll get into a bit more detail about the different actions shortly. So, who can take part in Erasmus Plus? Erasmus Plus is aimed at schools, further and higher education institutions, vocational education, adult education, and youth organisations who are actively involved in delivering formal and non-formal education, training and youth work, including sport. There are a wide number of organisations who are eligible. These could include schools and colleges, youth groups, voluntary organisations, public or private organisations including businesses, SMEs, training companies, social enterprises, not-for-profit organisations, associations and NGOs, higher education institutions, adult education organisations or sports organisations. Your organisation has to be a legally constituted organisation with a legal identity separate from that of you as an individual. It is quite a complex area, but it should be clear that your organisation, and not you personally, must be legally responsible for funded projects. However, recognising that some flexibility is required, in the youth sector, informal groups of young people are allowed to apply to the programme. Erasmus Plus is a rich and varied programme, and there are many routes to funding. The key facts, however, are that the programme is open to a wide range of groups and organisations who are not educational institutions, as long as they are legally constituted. If you are a sole trader or a partnership or are an unincorporated institution, then you will need more advice on how you can participate. More information about who can take part is available on the Erasmus Plus website and in the application guidance. Alternatively, you can phone the helpline teams and you can discuss your circumstances in detail. Erasmus Plus is a European programme, and working with other countries must form a core part of all activities. This could mean sending staff and learners to another country for studying, work experience or professional development, or collaborating over a couple of years with a group of organisations from different countries. There are two broad types of country in the programme. Programme countries, which are mainly member states of the European Union, and partner countries, essentially the rest of the world. There are currently 34 partner countries. A number of them are full partners in the programme despite being outside the EU. Consider the diversity of culture, language, climate and practice that is available in these countries. The opportunities are huge. All you need to know at this stage is that how you can work with the two categories of countries, namely the full programme countries outlined above and partner countries. This can vary across different project types and depends on the target group for your project. Let's look in more depth at the key actions. Key Action 1 mobility projects exist across the different fields of higher education, vocational education and training, schools and adult education and youth, and work on the same general principles. It is important to note that each field has its own specific conditions and criteria. Not all activities for learners or staff are offered across all fields. The basic principle of mobility projects is that a UK organisation applies to the UK National Agency for funding to send learners or staff to another country to undertake their activities. There is an NA in each programme country. The national agency name is often abbreviated to NA. This approach, taken in the UK, is found in other programme countries too. For example, the Swedish NA funds Swedish organisations to undertake mobility projects abroad. In order to receive funding, you'll need to complete the KA1 application form from the relevant fields you wish to apply for. During your project, you'll carry out activities associated with the selection and preparation of participants prior to a period of mobility. Following the mobility, activities associated with evaluation and dissemination must be carried out within the project term. Projects with the fields of AE, VET and schools, that's adult education, vocational education and training and schools, can last 1 or 2 years. However, youth projects can be from 3 to 24 months. Within HE, projects involving mobility between programme countries can last 16 or 24 months, and mobility between programme and partner countries can last 24 or 36 months. It is important that you choose the appropriate project duration at the application stage based on the objectives of the project and of the type of activities planned over time. Only in extreme circumstances can a project duration be changed during the lifetime of the project. It is very important to also note that some fields are subject to pre-qualifications that need to be held. For example, HEIs must hold an Erasmus Charter for Higher Education, which is a separate application round each year. Erasmus Charter for Higher Education is run by the European Commission. Deadlines to apply for the Charter are normally in May each year. The following slides illustrate the different types of project activity by sector and crucially the difference between project duration and activity duration. It is important that mobility durations meet the needs of the participants, but are also in line with the minimum and maximum activity durations indicated for the field and activity. Let's take a look at a case study. In this case, it's a Key Action 1 VET mobility project managed by the Glasgow Council for Alcohol. The Elevate project has been helping people in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction to progress into employment with life-changing results. The Elevate Vocational Education and Training Mobility Project builds on the success of a work-based recovery programme developed by a public social partnership that includes organisations such as NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, Glasgow Council on Alcohol, and the Glaswegian education organisation Light on the Path. People in recovery often have low educational attainment, and the majority have had lots of personal difficulties in their life. The impact of this project has been life-changing. All the participants have continued with their vocational courses and remained substance-free after their mobility placement. Let's move on now to Key Action 2. Strategic partnerships bring together organisations from different countries to work together on solving a common problem or addressing a common need. Organisations can choose either to work with partners from the same field of education training or youth with the partners from different fields. The only requirement is that all partners have relevant interests, skills and experience to contribute towards developing a high quality project. Strategic partnerships must demonstrate a clear link between project objectives and the policy priorities outlined in Part B of the programme guide. In order to be funded, projects must address at least one horizontal priority and/or one field-specific priority relevant to the field their application is submitted under. KA2 projects are also flexible in terms of their scale and size, and there are different project types and formats available. For projects addressing a horizontal, general priority and/or involving partners from different fields, it's important to submit your application under the field which is most relevant to your project objectives and most likely to be impacted. As mentioned, strategic partnerships are flexible, and there are two different project types you can choose from. Strategic partnerships supporting innovative projects have a strong focus on innovation. This type of project is expected to develop innovative outputs and/or engage in intensive dissemination and exploitation activities. To support this, it is possible to request additional budget to develop sustainable, high-quality intellectual outputs, and where relevant to fund multiplier events to disseminate them. The project type is available for all fields of education, training and youth. Strategic partnerships supporting the exchange of good practices aims to support organisations to share ideas and ways of working and to develop their experiences of transnational cooperation. Exchange of practices projects should still aim to deliver new outcomes and may produce tangible outputs, but these are expected to be proportionate to the size and experience of the partnership. There is no budget available for intellectual outputs or multiplier events. This type of project is a good entry point for smaller organisations or organisations with less experience of transnational partnership working. This type of project is not available for the field of higher education, but is available for all other fields. It is important to note there are some specific project formats which fall under exchange of good practice projects. These include school exchange partnerships, which are only available to schools. These projects can use mobility opportunities for pupils and staff to develop as organisations and increase their ability to work in international projects. Transnational youth initiatives in the field of youth aim to foster the social commitment and entrepreneurial spirit of young people. The youth initiative is initiated, set up and carried out by young people themselves, and project proposals are implemented by informal groups of young people. Let's take a look at Key Action 2 School Partnership Project. Meadowhead School Academy Trust is continuously developing innovative ways to ensure their 11 to 18-year-old pupils receive the best education experience possible and reach their full potential. Their Erasmus Plus project offered staff and pupils the opportunity to collaborate with partner schools across Europe. Through the Erasmus Plus Key Action 2 Strategic Partnership Project, Passport to Your Future, the school is working with partner schools in Slovenia, Spain and Finland to improve the employability skills of European teenagers. The students will work together to gain valuable knowledge about local and overseas job markets and study what employers are looking for when recruiting young school leavers. They have produced an app, website, guidebook and teacher lesson plans. These products will be disseminated through a wide variety of media, including e-twinning, to help as many students as possible to succeed in getting their first job after leaving school. Key Action 3 is unique in that mobility and transnational partnerships are not essential. That is to say, UK organisations can make an application for funding for a project working only within the UK. This key action is aimed at bringing young people and decision makers together to improve youth policy and involving young people in democratic life. The list on screen gives a sample of the type of activity that organisations might include as part of their Key Action 3 project. These projects must be led by young people. As you can see, they are aimed at involving young people in the decision-making process and creating active and engaged citizens. Key Action 3 projects run for between 3 and 24 months. As with all the other types of Erasmus Plus activity, there is a competitive application process. In common with all Erasmus Plus projects, a grant given under Key Action 3 is intended as a contribution to your project costs and may not cover the total cost of your project. The maximum grant awarded for a structured dialogue project is €50,000. This funding supports travel, organisational support, exceptional costs and special needs support. As mentioned, while the application will most likely be submitted by a representative of the youth organisation, it should be made clear that the area of focus, project design and associated activities are determined by the young people involved in the project. The final point regarding non-formal learning principles and practices is to illustrate that this type of project cannot be used to support activities taking place within a formal educational setting, e.g. to support a school debate team. Projects should be rooted in non-formal learning, both in terms of the organisations that apply, the participants involved and the delivery of the activity. Let's look now at an example of a Key Action for a youth project. Boys and Girls Clubs of Wales have been delivering youth work for over 85 years. Their Erasmus Plus project aims to engage underrepresented young people in dialogue with a range of politicians, from local councillors to members of Parliament. The Erasmus Plus Key Action 3 Structured Dialogue project, not the usual suspects, brought together a group of young people aged 16 to 18 from areas with high youth unemployment. After a series of workshops helping them to develop their ICT, video editing and interviewing skills, the group met and interviewed politicians and discussed their own views on pertinent issues. They then educated others about their learning through modern strategies such as social media, peer-led forums and through developing an app. The project culminated in an event titled Not the Usual Hustings, where first-time voters were encouraged to come and hear from prospective candidates for the National Assembly for Wales. The event was held at a local trampoline park. Hosted by Newsbeat's Stefan Pell, S4C did a live broadcast of the event, and the project was so well received they won a Youth Excellence Award. If you feel that running a full-blown Erasmus Plus project may be too complicated, there are other ways to get involved and enjoy similar benefits. Each year, Erasmus Plus national agencies fund a range of networking and transnational cooperation activities aimed at supporting the development of all Erasmus Plus fields. These are known as TCAs. Our largest area of activity is within the European Solidarity Corps and the youth field, although these are often cross-sectoral. Our projects support key priorities at UK and EU level, such as the European Youth Strategy, Europe 2020, and the Inclusion and Diversity Strategy. We link the objectives, priority target groups, and themes of these policies into our activities, such as the objective of implementing the Paris Declaration on promoting citizenship and common values, a focus on priority target groups such as NEETs, or themes highly relevant to the Erasmus Plus programme such as social entrepreneurship, employability or inclusion. One such option is the European Solidarity Corps. This is the new European Union initiative which creates opportunities for young people to volunteer or work in projects in their own country or abroad that benefit communities and people around Europe. You can register for the European Solidarity Corps when you are 17 years old, but you cannot start a project until you are over 18. European Solidarity Corps projects must be available to people up to the age of 30 years old. After completing a simple registration process, European Solidarity Corps participants could be selected and invited to join a wide range of projects, such as helping to prevent natural disasters or rebuild afterwards, assisting in centres for asylum seekers, or addressing different social issues in communities. Projects supported by the European Solidarity Corps can last from 2 to 12 months. They will usually be located within the European Union member states. So how do you get started? A good starting point is to establish which group you are targeting. This is important within Erasmus Plus because the funding for each of these groups is ring-fenced, and if you do want to target more than one group, you will have to complete a separate application form. It's worth bearing in mind that in some cases the target groups themselves may not be greatly involved in the project itself, so think instead in terms of who will ultimately benefit. In addition, the types of activity you can carry out as part of your project may also differ according to these different groups. We'll come on to this shortly. Please remember that you're only focusing here on the funding for which you might apply to the UK National Agency, those parts of the programme that have been decentralised. Once you've identified your target group, the next step is deciding on the types of activities you'd like to undertake. As we've already highlighted, the types of activities are categorised by key action. Of course, deciding on your project activities will largely depend on your project's aims, and you can establish the parts of the programme that are right for you by deciding what needs, gaps and problems you're trying to address. As with the target groups, the funding available for the UK NA to distribute is ring-fenced according to key action, although we do have a little bit of flexibility to enable us to allocate all of the amount allocated to us in the UK. Mobility is by far the biggest part of the Erasmus Plus programme in terms of the overall size of the budget available and the corresponding volume of projects and activities. This is just above 72%. The vast majority of this funding is also attributed to the mobility of learners. The only part of KA3 managed at national level relates to structured dialogue projects, which almost uniquely in the programme don't require a foreign partner organisation. Structured dialogue projects are also exclusively for the youth sector. There are many other projects relating to policy development under KA3 across all sectors, but this part of Erasmus Plus is centralised and managed by the executive agency. This slide gives an overview of the main documents you'll need to refer to before thinking about applying. The core documentation is split into two parts: the call for proposals, that sets out the deadlines and activities, and the more detailed programme guide. The call for proposals sets out the deadlines for the next year, and these are common across all of the participating countries. The majority of deadlines for 2020 will be between February and April, with additional youth deadlines in the spring and autumn. There is also a new programme guide for 2020. This is the key document for the programme and sets out in great detail its priorities, what projects you can apply for, how to apply, who can apply, what funding is available, and the eligible activities, and so on. Again, this is written entirely by the European Commission. Our job here at the UK NA is to interpret the guide and turn it into a more user-friendly guidance for UK applicants. Applications for the programme are made online via what are called e-forms, which are again created and managed by the European Commission. The forms will be available from the UK website, and again we will produce guidance to help people complete them. This will include application support webinars such as this, and will also focus on additional webinars for each project type. Here are some additional initiatives available online which you may find useful depending on the sector you're working in. Salto Youth stands for Support, Advanced Learning and Training Opportunities within the European Youth Programme. SaltoYouth.net, that's salto-youth.net, is a network of 8 resource centres working on European priority areas within the youth field.
On the Salto website you can find Otlas, a key partner finding tool. Through the Otlas website you can register your youth organisational or informal group, search for partners, create projects and request partners. Eurodesk is the information service for youth organisations and young people. eParley, the e-platform for adult learning in Europe, is a multilingual open membership community funded by the European Commission. It is the latest development in an ongoing commitment to improve the quality of adult learning provision in Europe. The eParley partner search feature is there to help find contacts in the field of adult learning. Register on eParley for free to start your search. eTwinning is a free online community for schools and FE vet colleges in Europe. It can be your first step towards Key Action 1 mobility and Key Action 2 strategic partnerships by allowing you to find partners and collaborate on projects within a secure network and platform. Schools should also sign up to the new European Commission portal, School Education Gateway. Here they can find professional staff development and strategic partnership opportunities for school staff mobility, Key Action 1. The UK National Agency is not in a position to directly support organisations to find partners. However, there are various initiatives that can help. The Erasmus Plus Projects Result Platform, also known as EPRP, will give you access to project descriptions, results and contact information for all projects funded under the Erasmus Plus programme. Search an online map of over 71,000 Erasmus Plus projects from across Europe to help find partners, source project ideas and support networking. There are also partner funding events held across Europe which can be accessed through TCA funding. Activities are fully funded training courses, seminars, conferences and partnership building events that train staff, share best practice across Europe and improve the quality and impact of the Erasmus Plus programme. Another aim of TCA projects is to mobilise as many organisations and individuals as possible within the programme and support cooperation between organisations active in all fields of education, training and youth. A final strand of TCA works to gather transnational evidence and research-based analysis of programme results. On screen now are some steps you can take to stay informed, learn more and get in contact with us here at the UK National Agency. Here are our contact details so that you can keep in touch with us. And finally, our online contact details, including our Twitter and our YouTube for more information.